Ito guys, paalis na tayo. Ayan.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Thumbs up, smiles? Excellent. We've got everybody seated on one side of the boat. Lots of room on board today. We're at not even half capacity. So if you want to switch seats and get a different vantage point, feel free to do so. You can move from one side of the boat to the other. You can move inside, outside, whatever you choose. It's up to you, whatever you feel comfortable doing. It's your boat ride. Just keep in mind, of course, those of you outside and anybody seated next to an open window, be mindful of your hats, your glasses, false teeth, toupee, small children, handbags, all that good stuff. A little bit breezy today. Not that this is a windy day by Waterton standards, but when you factor in the wind speed and the speed of the boat headed into the wind, it will feel a little bit windy at times. Towards the end of August. We're going to go for a cruise, 1 hour and 15 minutes around the shoreline of Upper Waterton Lake. We'll do kind of a figure-8 loop as we make our way around the lake. All seats are good seats on the boat. But before we go any further, I am required by Transport Canada to tell you briefly about the safety features on board this tour boat. This is the Connie Marlene that we are on board, and she is a Transport Canada inspected vessel licensed to carry 48 passengers. And as such, we have 50 adult life jackets and more than enough infant and small child jackets for all the little ones. Life preservers for the little ones ahead of me in the front of the boat. Adult preservers underneath the window sills on either side of the cabin. We've got life rings up on the roof. We have an emergency rescue life sling to help with man-overboard rescues, and a large white barrel topside, which is a self-inflating Zodiac life raft. Firefighting equipment all around the vessel, first aid kit up at the front, and a crew of 2 on board. Very experienced crew of 2 at that. Captain Chris is at the wheel right now. That's Captain Chris. He'll be doing the driving, taking good care of us. He's been piloting these boats for, I don't even know, we quit counting after like year number 15. So he's been here a long time. Very experienced. He grew up here in Waterton Park. Very capable. He'll take good care of us as we cruise around the lake. Well, my name is Keith. And I will be acting like an interpretive guide as we cruise around the lake today. Pointing out some of the noteworthy features. Talking about some of the interesting things in the area. And at times just putting the microphone down and letting you sit back, relax, and enjoy the scenery without the sound of my voice. If I were to ramble on the whole boat ride, that very likely could ruin your boat ride. You don't want that. You enjoy yourselves today. Maybe learn a thing or two, but most importantly, just have some fun. Admire the mountain scenery, the pristine, untouched backcountry wilderness. And we'll keep an eye out for wildlife as we cruise around the lake. Over the last handful of days, we have had a number of very good bear sightings. This is the time of year when the bears are active. It's the very end of the berry crop. The berry crop is now either it's already been eaten or it's starting to shrivel up and it's past its prime. So the bears are trying to find all the berries that are left that are still tasty and juicy and ready to be eaten. The bears are in a state right now called hyperphagia. That's what it's called, hyperphagia. It's basically like a berry frenzy where they can spend up to 20 hours a day eating. And in a single 20-hour day, they're able to consume in excess of 100,000 berries. They just eat and eat and eat non-stop. just moving from one berry bush to the next. So quite often we see them this time of the year along the shoreline, walking along the rocky outcrops, moving from one berry bush to the next, trying to find whatever food is available. So if you see any wildlife today, make sure to let me know. Okay? Point at it. Shout out, wave your arms, tell me what you see, and we will do our best to try to slow the boat down, and if possible, go in for a closer look. Aside from the bears, we have the chance to see all sorts of other critters. In fact, we have over 60 different mammal species here in Waterton Lakes National Park. Everything from the big ones, like the American bison, the largest land mammal in North America, to the moose and the grizzly bear, the black bear, the mountain lion, wolves, all the big carnivores. And then we've got tiny little mammals as well. We've got 9 different species of bat. We have a number of different species of weasels, handful of mice species, and a tiny little guy, the littlest mammal in the park, something called the vagrant shrew. A tiny little shrew, a bit smaller than a mouse. We have 250 different species of birds here in the national park. 24 species of fish, 10 different reptiles and amphibians, and over 1,000 different species of vascular plants. It's also the deepest natural lake in the Canadian Rockies. 11 kilometers in length, 1 kilometer wide on average, runs in a general north-south fashion. And so we're going to make our way just over halfway down the lake to the Canada-USA border. We'll cross the borderline, we will enter U.S. waters for a few moments, cruise around the lake some more, and then eventually make our way back to Canada and back to the Waterton Marina. Their own personal pleasure craft, motorized waterboat, canoe, a kayak. You can use this docking facility. This one in particular is called Crypt Landing. And this is the trailhead, the starting point for a full-day hike that goes to Crypt Lake. And our company actually offers a hiker shuttle. Every morning we bring hikers over here on the tour boat, drop them off at the dock, they go hiking all day long. 16-kilometer round trip hike. It gains 700 meters to the beautiful Crypt Lake. the aftermath of the 2017 Keenan wildfire. Kind of an interesting perspective. On the valley side there, all those trees burned back in September 2017. We're actually coming upon the 4-year anniversary of that fire very shortly. The largest forest fire in recorded history here at Waterton Lakes National Park. It burned over 70% of all the forests in the national park. Total burn area, some 38,000 hectares, or about 75,000 acres. So it was an extensive forest fire. But already you can see how Mother Nature is recovering. The landscape is rejuvenating. All the green vegetation blanketing the mountain slope all the way back up to the top of the mountain now, despite all the standing dead trees that remain. Eventually all those dead trees will blow over, thanks to the strong winds that prevail through this valley. And eventually those trees, once knocked over, will slowly decompose on the forest floor, returning nutrients back to the soils, and allowing other vegetation species to begin to grow back. It's kind of a cyclical process. These forest fires, you have to remember, are very important to an ecosystem like this. You don't have a forest fire every so often. You end up with a forest like we have here on the left. This is an old, unnaturally old forest with lots of standing dead trees, and even more dead trees that are littering the forest floor. Trees that have died because of other mechanisms. Parasitic insects, for example. Things like the pine beetle, the Douglas fir beetle, the spruce budworm.
So dito na tayo sa border sa USA. Ayan, nakikita niyo yung guhit na yan. Yan yung border ng Canada and USA.